took me over 20 years to figure this one out. Once you have the identity, that's it. You got it. What could I do to actually get out of this situation? Am I even ever going to make it? How am I ever going to make it? It's all your fault. And it was a very scary time in my life. And I'll tell them, I'm just disciplined. I get up, I exercise. Those of us who are driven shouldn't look down at those that aren't. I don't have time for Netflix. My life is a Netflix. What's something successful people never admit out loud? Well, here it is. You may have to hire somebody smarter than you and can do some of the things that you think you do really well in order to succeed and scale your business. You see, in medicine, they don't teach us about business. They teach us about how to be a doctor and how to be disciplined, how to get good results, how to take our patients through a journey, but they never teach you about a business. And it's a totally different ball game altogether, completely different. And it took me over 20 years to figure this one out. So the way I look at my surgical training was kind of like a Navy SEAL training. And it was a very lonely journey because you're just out there, you're getting evaluated, you're getting yelled at. If there's a mishap with a patient, it's all your fault. You're having to admit your complications. It's a lonely journey out there, and it's pretty cutthroat. And sometimes they're even firing people after a year's worth of work. And so even starting on the medical side, it was a very lonely journey. You didn't get to go to all the parties and the weddings and your family's graduations. You were by yourself. I can remember just being by myself on Saturday nights and just hanging out watching Saturday Night Live. It was not a lot of fun sometimes. And then I come to practice, and first few years I'm working 100, 120 hours, and my staff's working from 9 to 5, but I'm hitting the emergency rooms all night long, all by myself. And coming back to work, and everybody's like, happy and all that. And I'm dragging in. They have no idea what I've been through the night before. In my early years, there were even some days where I worked 100 hours and I didn't get paid one penny. I was paying my staff and I got not one penny. And so in the early years of my career, I even thought, am I even ever going to make it? How am I ever going to make it? And so I had to figure that one out. And I think that was probably the first step in transitioning from being a clinician into being a businessman. And it was a very scary time in my life. But you have to have the proper mindset, and you have to go all in. You have to go all in if you're going to do this. That's the mentality that you got to have, because otherwise, if you don't burn the boats, if you have a plan B, you're going to retreat when it gets tough. And you just can't do that. You just got to keep going. And that's why it's a lonely journey, because most people out there are not driven like that. As a matter of fact, there's studies out there, psychological studies, that show maybe only 4 to 10% of people are actually driven. And so when you see someone like that, you're going to see them on a lonely journey. And a lot of that comes because they set a goal, they hit that goal, then what's the next goal? They're never sitting around relaxing. They're always thinking about the next thing, and they're just hardwired that way. And so I have this saying when people ask me, hey, did you see the show on Netflix? And I said, I don't have time for Netflix. My life is a Netflix, because I just keep going. I just keep going. And when you do that, there's not a lot of people that actually want to keep up with you. They just want to go home and chill out, watch Netflix, get DoorDash. I just don't have time for that. And the world is mostly made for people that want to relax and chill, not for people that are driven and want to keep going. But the thing is, both sides need to kind of understand each other. Those of us who are driven shouldn't look down at those that aren't. And then those that aren't driven shouldn't be looking at the people who are driven that way. It's just the way we're hardwired. It's actually genetics. And so if you are one of the driven, you're probably going to find yourself pretty isolated. You're going to be doing your thing. But there's a satisfaction to that, I have to tell you, but there's also an uneasiness. And so we have to learn how to actually relax, take our time, celebrate our victories. And that just makes life a little bit better if we can understand those of us who are driven. I've been asked, how did you become so disciplined? Like, what kind of habits did you have to become disciplined? Well, I can tell you, first of all, it's like having a vision and setting a goal, and actually even visualizing, like, when I was younger, okay, I'm going to be a plastic surgeon. Okay, I'm going to be the president of this society. Okay, I'm going to be the president of that society. And then every decision that I made was made towards that goal and not away from that goal. And so once you do that and you start taking those steps and you can visualize that, all of a sudden you have an identity. You now become that person. You start living as that person. So when I decided to get back in shape after my kids started being able to do their own homework, I didn't decide that I was just going to lose weight. I decided I was going to become a runner. And so I started running. And so when I go on vacations, I would plan my runs. I could plan my food, and so I just actually made myself that identity. Like, if you're not a smoker, you're not a smoker. You're not gonna smoke anymore. If you don't drink, you're not a drinker. You're not gonna drink anymore. So once you can set the vision and take the little steps, just little tiny steps towards that, you're gonna start having that identity. And once you have the identity, that's it. You got it. It's a piece of cake after that, but it does take a little bit of work getting there. Now, I've also been asked about burnout, and burnout's a real thing, and I'm just thinking that burnout's probably something where you're just not aligned with whatever activity you're doing. So if you've got a job that you don't like and you just keep doing it and pounding at it, you're gonna experience burnout. I think what happens is people, maybe they don't realize it, or maybe they think they're stuck going in that direction, when maybe you just need to take a step back and just reevaluate and say, what could I do to actually get out of this situation? You could probably actually even find a better situation. You're probably living with these limited beliefs that I've got to stay here, otherwise my world is going to crumble. If you're in a bad relationship, you just stay there because you think, oh my God, what am I going to do if I break up with this person? What's my life going to be? And not knowing that there might actually be somebody better just right around the corner. And it's the same thing like that. If you just get stuck, just take a step back and try to imagine your life as something better, and just try to move in that direction. So I think there's a difference between success and fulfillment. You can set a goal to say, I'm going to get $1 million, and you can get there and be successful in that goal, but are you actually fulfilled? And so I think the difference here is that when you set a goal, you got to set a purpose and a reason for that goal, not just the goal itself. Tony Robbins will say, like, okay, what's your goal? Oh, I want, to make $1 million. Oh, you want a bunch of paper with dead presidents on them? Is that going to make you happy? Yeah, how many people have we heard that have all this money, but yet their life is a mess? Their kids are a mess, And so I think you have to put a purpose to why you're doing it. Like if you want to lose weight and you say, I want to lose weight, well, you lose 1 pound, you lost the weight. No, what's the purpose? Well, I want to fit better in my clothes. I want to have more energy. I just want to have a better life, be more active. And so once you have that, then you're going to be able to change your mindset to get there. And then you're going to be fulfilled. So again, there's a difference between success and hitting a goal versus being fulfilled. So what's funny is I wake up at 4 a.m, I jump in the pool, when it's wintertime, it's a cold plunge, and people are going like, oh my God, what are you doing? And I'll tell them, I'm just disciplined. I get up, I exercise, and people think that discipline does not create freedom, that you're locked into these horrible habits, but it's actually the opposite. Discipline actually creates freedom, because if you're in shape, you're going to be free from having problems with your health when you're older. If you're more disciplined with your money when you're younger, you're not going to have money problems later. So actually, discipline does equal freedom, and that's the reason why to do it.